This is the food trilogy. If you didn't know, this is the food trilogy. When I say the food trilogy, the food trilogy. Today's meal, today's late night meal, um, shall be some garlic fried rice and Italian sausage. Yes. Um, I like the the flow of the live stream yesterday and the day before, so I decided to make this a trilogy where I eat and chat with you guys. Seems to have worked out smoothingly well, so I'm going to keep doing it. But just for these 3 days, I don't think tomorrow I'll do that. Also, I'm going to have some pre-recorded video content for you guys as well. All right, so new topic for today, and it's based on obvious events from yesterday. A lot of us are aware of the uh, President Biden's press conference to double down on the fact that he's going to continue running for for president for the next 4 years, and also that um, that he feels that he's still fit to run office. I think a lot of people disagree, and I said when I was at the gym yesterday with my friend when I was watching the pre press conference that he better really perform. He better overly perform at this press conference. Like they better shoot him up with some B12, some MGH, some testosterone, shots, some performance enhancing drugs of some sort. But he stumbled in this press conference, and I'm like, he knows everyone was going to be eyeing him at this press conference, right? And despite that, he still stumbled in that press conference. Like a few minor, stumblings. It's not a huge deal. Especially if it's live. But it didn't go as well as he thought it went. And even prior to the press conference, many of his biggest corporate donors are backing away. Once your corporate donors start backing away, that's it. He has no mathematically shown way forward. Not through the voters, not through the people in the background who's going to donate to him and support his campaign. When you lose, when Batman says to step down, it's done. And yes, Batman did tell him to step down, the George Clooney Batman. And yes, I'm going to count him as Batman, not just for the 97 movie, 98 movie, I guess, whatever. But he also reprised Batman and The Flash last year. Spoiler alert for people who didn't watch The Flash. When The Flash fixed the timeline, the time stream, when he came back, it was no longer Ben Affleck. It was George Clooney, which was a nice little Easter egg for a lot of people who watched the movie back in 97. What's up, CJ? It's a lot of rice. I eat a lot of rice, and I haven't had any today. Kind of hungry. ran 11 kilometers early. I think I deserved it. Although I'm mad I'm not going to do a second one because it'll be too late. Yeah, I can eat rice with every meal, CJ. The funny thing is, I have the guy I work with, my quote unquote boss. He thinks that rice is bad for you and all this other sort of stuff, but he has some like quirky beliefs. Like he eats beans all day. I'm like, man, I'm not eating beans all day so I can be smelly around my coworkers. And plus, beans is no, like beans just by itself with some seasoning on it, not with any rice, not with any meat, or mixed in with other veggies or anything. He thinks all grains are bad for you because he misunderstands the role of starches. Starches are a vital part of your diet, but he only understands that starches are complex sugars which are broken down into simple sugars in the body, not realizing that the body needs those simple sugars. Like it's part of what fuels our ATP cycle. Yeah, beans do have way more fiber. I won't deny that, Miss Needle. What's up, Miss Needle, by the way? And what's up, Amani? Yeah, you have a similar name to me. Mine is Aman. You're Amani. At my office, we have three people with similar names. It's me, it's I, Aman. There's another one who's Ahmad, and then there's another one who's Imani. So, let me get some music for you guys, by the way, as well. I'm looking for classical, if you guys don't mind a little classical Baroque music. Plus, I don't think the classical music will get copyrighted. I would play jazz, but I'm pretty sure that would get copyrighted. Here we go. Tchaikovsky. Yes, I love classical music. Sorry. Miss Nia says tired. That's what's up. Oh, I'm sorry. What you been up to? Saving the world. Do I like rap music? Oh, absolutely. But not most of the recent stuff, to be honest. Stuff from the 2010s, 2000s, and of course the 90s. But I don't really rock with anything right now out of the 2020s. Well, that's not true. Some of the old heads, well, down there, the old heads have come out with music in the 2020s, so I still listen to that, but I don't listen to the newer artists. Mm, Chris says, "Get off live and eat dinner." No, this is actually a theme, Chris, that I'm doing on purpose. Like I've done this yesterday and the day before. The 2 days before, I was just doing it as an experiment because I was hungry and I was like, all right, let me just go live and I'll eat. And it actually turned out to be a pretty good live. Then I did it again yesterday and that turned out pretty well as so I was like, all right, so I'll just make it a trilogy. This won't be every day, by the way, but I figure whatever goes well once or twice, it's good enough thrice. So there you go. If Hollywood can do trilogy, so can I. Miss Nina says more AI music. No, this is classical masterpieces, not any AI generated relaxing music. But classical is also pretty relaxing to me as well. The European classical music, like mostly the Baroque era music. Like this is Tchaikovsky. I don't think you can copyright Tchaikovsky, other than maybe the symphony orchestra who's performed the actual music piece. Um, I think this was performed by the Kimmel Center of the Performing Arts in Philadelphia, so maybe so. So I should be easy on the sound just in case. But it seemed like that would be really hard to pick out which symphony orchestra did which classical piece, unless YouTube's algorithm is just that good, and it probably is. Speaking of algorithms, has anyone switched their? For those who are, I know most of you aren't, but for those of you like me who are Android users, did any of you switch over from Google Assistant to Gemini? Miss Needle says normal because of different time zone. That's why I'm tired. I've been knitting a jacket, finishing it. Oh, okay. Miss Needle says Just A Contrarian goes mukbang. No, I thought mukbang is like if you eat when like you're eating something like exotic, right? Is mukbang just eating period like on video? I thought mukbang was like when you were eating like something exotic or nasty like bats and armadillos and stuff like that. I thought that's what mukbang was, but I don't know if this is mukbang. Cool. I've tried a new genre of video streaming. Hopefully, and I'm gonna have a new video of the wife for some travel content tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that, guys. Hopefully she's gonna moderate with us right now. Mrs. Contrarian, if you are moderating, can you send a shout out? By the way, the redness is caused from some hot sauce and tomatoes. I fried some tomatoes and onions with the Italian sausage. You can see that. So Priest JG says, what's for dinner? So again, some garlic fried rice, Italian sausage with some fried onions and tomato mixed in. Mike the Almighty says you somehow managed to be darker than the darkness itself. I know it's supposed to be racist, but that could be funny. Well, it could be funny if I was actually dark, but I'm like medium brown, so the joke doesn't really work. Kind of just sharpen up your trolling skills a bit. But anyway, so guys, the topic is America has a gerontocracy, and we need to get rid of it. Most of you know what that means, but for those who don't, gerontocracy is a government of the elderly. Basically, because in a gerontocracy, the elderly elite believe that it is their right by age to rule, and we need to get rid of that. People in our Congress are way too damn old. Our sitting president is way too goddamn old. He literally did a press conference yesterday to dissuade everyone of their fears of him being in cognitive decline, and just put it on full display again. So that wasn't a good idea. CC Motion said, "What's good, fam? What's up, CC?" Frankie says, "Do you chew your food?" I'm an army guy, so we used to say, "Eat the food, taste it later when you burp." And this is still slow eating. You don't want to know what. You don't want to know how fast I could actually eat this. No diddy. Pause. No diddy. But yeah, you don't want to know how fast us Army or Marine guys can throw down some chow and eat when we need to. For me, this is a slow pace. How's your day going? Pretty well. You know, went to work. We did some training, some marketing training with with one of the head people in our bank. You know, did my run, did some martial arts and calisthenics. I was planning on doing a second run, but it's kind of late and it was raining, so I don't know about that. But yeah, overall pretty good day. The wife is going to send me some video content for you guys from her recent trip. And it will have her face in it. So most of the videos I posted of her doesn't show her directly in the camera. I mean, she's in the camera, but it doesn't have like a close up on her face in none of the videos I've posted of her prior. This one will. Miss Nita says mukbang is just eating on camera. I think it originated in Asia. It did. Because people were lonely, didn't want to eat lunch alone, etc. Oh. Okay. So I confused Miss Nita, I confused mukbang with, so you know the other videos which led to a lot of the people saying, yeah, this is why they got COVID and all this sort of stuff. There were videos, I guess they were related to the mukbang, where they were doing like it was like shock videos, like they were purposely eating like exotic foods, I guess you could call it exotic, footage, you know, to get people to watch out of shock. And it was like some disgusting stuff, and some of it I don't even really know I don't even know if they were actually eating it. I think they just edited the video to make it look like they were eating very disgusting things. But that led to a lot of people saying, yeah, that's probably how they got COVID, eating weird shit like that. I thought that was mukbang, but I guess that's just a subgenre of mukbang videos. But as I have absorbed a lot of Asian culture, I guess it would I guess it would filter into my own videos, right? Amani says, when you get the chance, check out Don Tripper's lines. Hit preferably, say less by him. You talking about Donald Trump? Daniel says Burrow used spoon for the rice. Are you Filipino, Daniel? That's what I got the rice for. I mean the spoon for, but um dude, trust me, I'm being polite. I would be way more savage if I knew you guys weren't watching this. Like, I would be using a fork, but I wouldn't be using the spoon to scoop it. I would just, you know, scoop it with my hand. But yeah, I'm trying to be polite, not be savage. So if I turn the camera off, I would just ravage this no diddy. Ravage this dinner like it was my honeymoon. But anyway. Oh, she was talking about music. I'm sorry. Um, Miss Neal says, Amani, what kind of rap is it? Amani says, it's rap like I don't really know. I'm not really sure. Greg's Corner said, the F is a gerontocracy. With a G, not with a J. Maybe I'm mispronouncing. Maybe it's a hard G and not a soft G, but I thought it was a soft G, a gerontocracy. If it's gerontocracy, you guys can correct me. But I've been used to saying it with the soft G, gerontocracy. In any case, America has a gerontocracy problem. We need to get rid of it. We have a 81-year-old man running for office who will be 82 if he's reelected. Of course, he's not going to get reelected because the numbers aren't working for him. But if he were, he would be 82. Ironically, Captain America: Brave New World, the movie trailer just came out today. If you guys haven't seen it, if you haven't, go check it out. It's actually pretty good. I was telling my friend, well, the trailer better be good because they pushed this movie back for the last 2 years. They reshot the entire film twice. So at a minimum, they're gonna have to perform like well on that movie's gonna have to make $1 billion to recoup its production budget. And the production budget doesn't even count the marketing budget. So the production budget alone, I'm sure, is probably like $500 million after all of the reshoots they had to do for the last 2 years. Then you gotta factor in the marketing budget, and most of these places are never really honest about how big their marketing budget is. But sometimes the marketing budget is almost as large as the production budget, if not larger, because there's some stuff that goes under the, not every cent is accounted for like some of the marketing and advertising, because you gotta pay the right people, yada yada yada, whatever. Well, we switched from Tchaikovsky to Bizet. I think that's how you say his name. Bizet. He's not one of the more familiar classical composers for me. But I like it. Anyway, so in the movie trailer for Captain America: Brave New World, Harrison Ford has replaced the previous actor to play Thunderbolt Ross. Thunderbolt Ross was originally the general who was chasing down the Incredible Hulk, so that he could basically experiment on him to create a super soldier serum using the Hulk's blood. But the original actor died, and they got Harrison Ford to replace him. Of course, Harrison Ford didn't grow the bushy mustache. And he actually made fun of that fact in the trailer. He said, yeah, it's a new world. He's like, yeah, I had to get rid of the mustache. They told me I would never get elected without it. So they're making fun of the fact that they changed actors, sort of the same way they made fun of the fact that they changed from Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle in Iron Man 2. He's like, look, He said, "I'm here. Let's you know, get over it. It's done." So they're basically making that same sort of joke about the an in-universe reference joke to the fact that there's a different actor playing the character. And this is no spoiler alert. Thunderbolt Ross becomes the Red Hulk. Everyone knows this from the comics. And if you didn't, now you know. But they've already spoiled it. First of all, their toy line spoiled it because they already revealed that there's going to be a Red Hulk in the movie even before the trailer showed it. So that was bad. But then the trailer shows the Red Hulk in the trailer. So it's not a spoiler for me to tell you guys that. And everyone knows that Thunderbolt Ross is the person who becomes the Red Hulk in the comic books. So, in any case, Harrison Ford himself is about 81 years old. So he's kind of playing an elderly president like we currently have right now in office. Even Trump is up there. Like, he's 79. So he would be an elderly president too. And these people in Congress are like fucking 300 years old. Like Dianne Feinstein. Is Dianne Feinstein still alive, guys? I don't remember. But if you sitting there got to be coming in a wheelchair and you got like you actually have like full-blown dementia, they need to let you go. Like, there has to be some sort of limits on this gerontocracy. Like, we shouldn't have people who are too old to have skin in the game for the decisions that they make running the country. We need people who have skin in the game because they still are young enough that their decisions will affect not only us, but they as well. If at any time, if they're at an age that any day they can just kick the bucket like that, and I don't mean to be so cruel about it, but let's just be completely blunt. When they're in their 70s and 80s, they're at a stage in life where any sort of misgiving, health misgiving, or accident could lead to their doom. They don't really have much skin in the game in the decisions they're making for the country. We need people with skin in the game. That's originally why people had welcomed people like ALC into Congress and stuff like that, until she turned out to be a big. Anyway, aside from her politics, it was sort of like a fresher breath air, actually having someone young enough to not need Geritol to function a full 8 hours in office. So. Mike D says, "I look homeless." Well, so does your mother. That's why I throw dick in her mouth every night to feed her. Anyway, Greg Scorner says, "The only young politician I know of is ALC." Oh, so that's fun, man. That's so funny. Because I literally didn't see that before I made that comment, Greg. And he said, "The only thing I've seen of her is her cussing out the Senate." Now, she wasn't the funniest one. You would think a Puerto Rican girl would have been better at insults. She was like, "Oh, honey." I'm like, no. I was expecting some Rosie Perez type stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to say it on live, but if you've heard Rosie Perez cussing, and you know what I mean. Guys, if you don't know who Rosie Perez is, watch Do the Right Thing, or White Men Can't Jump, or Old and Living Colors, when she was the Fly Girl and the choreographer for the Fly Girls. Jennifer Lopez started off as one of those Fly Girls, choreographed by Rosie Perez. I used to have a huge crush on Puerto Ricans back in the day. They're still pretty sexy, but what was I gonna say? Got lost in the Boricua. But in any case, I would have thought AOC, being a Bronx-born Puerto Rican chick, she would have been better at insults, but her insults were lame. It was the black chick that came back at Marjorie, whatever her name is. I'm sorry, she looks like a goddamn man. Politics aside, whether you like her or not, she looks like a goddamn man. and a girl called her bad built, but bad built butch something something. That was funny. I'm not gonna even lie. That was funny. Greg says ALC Democrat Republican. She's Democrat because she used to be a progressive, but she's been betraying her political base recently. A lot of them don't see her as progressive anymore, especially when she backed Nancy insider trading Pelosi's bitch ass. Again, guys, I'm being civil with this knife. I would not have a knife nor a fork if I was not eating in front of you guys. Everything would be gripped by the hand, no diddy. I would have a fork though, but that would be it. Miss News said ALC is Democrat, pretty sure. No, it's absolutely sure. She is. What's that elevated music playing? Well, Ron, sorry you don't like it. I'm playing classical masterpieces. Need to broaden your horizons. You want to hear Drake go somewhere else. But they not like us. Difference is I knew you were strong from your background in martial arts, but man, you're in good shape. Thank you, my man. I mean, I don't really show off. That's why, I guess people wouldn't tell that I'm actually in shape, but I do try to stay in shape. Tyler Jones, I don't know who Jason Tatum is. I'm sorry. Guessing that's a sports reference? I'm not sure. Denver says you should do videos, workout videos of your daily exercise routine. So I did have one plan. I just haven't. Actually, here I could do it. In my other place, I really didn't have room to do it, and I didn't want to set it up outside because of my neighbors. We have some neighbors that I don't like, and I didn't want the guy. He always does says some weird shit when I was like working out, which I can ignore when I'm working out, but it wouldn't be for good video hearing some little nincompoop yelling some dumb stuff during my video. But I can actually do it here. I was gonna do like a little like sort of Muay Thai routine for like beginners just to like get fit. So yeah, thank you for that. So I'm gonna actually do that here because I have way more room here than I do in my other place for that. So yeah, like a year ago, almost a year ago now, I had planned to do a workout that I actually was given to my wife. I gave my wife a basic like kickboxing Muay Thai workout thing, and I was like, and she told me like this will make a good content for like a video, and I was like, you're right, and I just never got to making it because I just couldn't find a good place to do it and edit it in a way that it wouldn't look kind of cluttered. So here I can do it. So I'm gonna get to that probably next week. Maybe this weekend, but if not next week. Amani says, y'all stop being mean, and I mean Don Tripp. Okay, thank you. I haven't heard of him. That's why I'm sorry. I wasn't sure who he was. When you said Don, because we're in an election cycle, every time I hear Don, I'm thinking people are referring to Donald Trump. But I forgot that you were talking about rap. But no, I get it now. Keisha H says, hi, what's up, Keisha? Haven't seen you in a while. Craig Swan says, isn't Don Tripp a clothing brand? I haven't heard of it. Sweetie says, hey, King, what's up, sweetie? Miss Nita says, Greg, maybe the artist got the name from that? Probably. I haven't heard of the clothing brand either. difference is gerontocracy is an issue, but what are your thoughts on the 4-year term? Yeah, they can be president for 8 years, but do you feel like that is enough time to make meaningful changes? Yeah. So the problem with having 2 4-year terms is most of the first term is set up for running for re-election for the second term, which is also a problem in Congress. They spend most of their time campaigning. They flood you with emails. They're always campaigning, basically. So they really have no time to run for office. The only time you actually see politicians doing something is when they're leaving office. If you give senators and presidents 1-year terms, then they will be more productive. So, like, give the senators 1 8-year term, give presidents 1 6-year term, like they have in the Philippines. They can only serve 1 term, but for 6 years. And I think they did that because of Ferdinand Marcos Sr., who's actually the father of the current president, which is scary because Ferdinand Marcos Sr. was actually set up a military dictatorship in that country back in the 70s for I believe 20 years before he was chased out of the country and fled to Hawaii because of his buddy old Ronald Reagan. And Ferdinand Marcos Sr., the father, is in the Guinness Book of World Records even now for holding the record of stealing the most amount of money from one's government, billions of dollars. It made his family instantly very wealthy. So he stayed in exile after fleeing the Philippines. After his death, his wife went back and became a senator, and his children went back and ran for office. Now his son, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., is the current president. He beat Sarah Duterte, who was the daughter of the former president Rodrigo Duterte, and she actually became his VP. Grace Corner says, now that I think about it, it's Trip NYC. Okay. Yeah, I'm still out of the loop when it comes to like hip hop clothing brands and the recent artists. Uncle Ben eating Uncle Ben's. Well, not Uncle Ben. My uncle is Uncle Ben. I'm not Uncle Ben. And this rice isn't Uncle Ben either. By the way, it's not Uncle Ben's rice. Nice attempt at racism, but didn't work. Come back again later when you have something funnier. Like my dick in your mother's mouth. Messenger says, it's the Captain America movie Brave New World based on the book of Huxley. No. So they actually changed the name to A Brave New World because the original title they had for it sounded kind of sinister. The original title was supposed to be New World Order. People was like, oh, hold up, what do you mean New World Order? That sounds kind of creepy. Captain America's supposed to be a good guy who represents democracy. A New World Order sounds like a totalitarian government. So he was like, okay, so we're gonna change it to A Brave New World. And then everyone who's ever read the Thomas Huxley book, it was like, A Brave New World is not a better sounding heading than A New World Order. Either way, it's basically hinting at the fact that under the current presidency of Thunderbolt Ross, former General Thunderbolt Ross, that America is going to be on some BS. So check out the trailer, but it's not based on the book. I think they're just using that title to kind of signal that there's going to be like some very there's going to be a lot of government like political intrigue and stuff dealing with like government authoritarianism, because General Thunderbolt Ross is known to be a tyrant. Like, this guy hunted down the Hulk for like over a decade or so because he wanted to experiment on the man and find out what made him the Hulk, so that he could use that process to turn the military into super soldiers. Because ever since Captain America, they've been trying to reduplicate the process and they could never get it right. So they tried to do it again with Weapon X, which was Wolverine, which is to do the super soldier serum. But it only worked on him because he was a mutant who could survive the process, because he's constantly regenerating with his healing factor. Any other person wouldn't have survived that procedure and died. So again, Weapon X didn't work either. That was a one-off shot because of Wolverine was a mutant. And the original process with Captain America was a one-off shot because it was done on some World War II secret experiment, and then that process was lost. However, they they uh, they did a reboot of that story where when Captain America was frozen in time, that they actually repeated that experiment on black soldiers and ended up producing a black Captain America who fought in the Korean War. And the military experimentation they were doing on these black military people was supposed to be reminiscent of the Tuskegee experiments that are well known here. So they've been searching for that, and then so when Bruce Banner ended up making his, you know, well, they changed the story a little bit, but in the original way, it was like gamma radiation changed him into what he is. So they've been trying to find a process by which Bruce Banner became the Hulk to replicate that and make super soldiers, or to steal his blood somehow and use that as another form of the super soldier serum that Steve Rogers took way back in the 40s. So either way, yeah, Thunderbolt Ross has always been a very creepy character. He's not a good guy. He's going to turn into the Red Hulk, who's also not a good guy. At best, he's an anti-hero, but he's often a villain. He's not as powerful as the Green Hulk as well, but he is powerful. And when the Hulk gets angry, he gets stronger and more invincible. The Red Hulk, when he gets angry, he actually starts to flame. He will actually catch on fire when he gets angry. So I wonder if they're going to do that in the movie, which I'm guessing they will. But to say that, for the title for Brave New World is basically saying that it's going to be showing how America is doing some sinister stuff. They kind of hinted at how sinister America's government was being. If you watch the Black Panther sequel, they showed like how they was trying to steal Wakanda's resources. Ron, you eat your food the way you like. I don't. When it comes to red meat, I don't eat red meat well done. Anyone who knows red meat knows you don't eat red meat well done. Also, I have hot sauce on this, by the way. And this in red meat is not blood. I don't know how many times people have to explain that to you folks who don't know anything about meat. Pause. But red meat, the red doesn't come from blood. It comes from myoglobin. Which is the color of the muscle meat. Ergo, it's called red meat. Duh. Miss Nina says, Greg, does Trip NYC even still exist? I haven't heard of that. So I'm out the loop. And I haven't been in New York since the 90s, so I wouldn't know. Ken says he's like a pit bull. Definitely not like a pit bull. Like I said, I don't eat red meat well done. It messes. It's dry. If your red meat isn't red, it's overcooked. Red says, yeah, they still exist. They've had quite a comeback, like Jenko. Now that clothing brand, I do remember Jenko. They're back. I haven't heard that name in decades. I haven't heard that name in decades. So that I do remember Jenko. It's definitely not raw. So I don't know what you're talking about, Mom. If you don't like it, be out. I'm not going to explain the finer points of um, culinary details of how people fix red meat, whether it's pork or beef. I mean, whether it's pork or beef. Most people who eat who eat red meat, don't like it well done because it's overcooked. The red in red meat doesn't mean that um, it's raw. That is myoglobin. Monty says I have to go. Bye, Monty. Thanks for showing up. Hope you come back again. Give me a like and subscribe if you don't mind, please. Dover says the limit should be 60. Being a president is a high stress job that adds years onto all previous presidents. Absolutely. You haven't seen one president come out there, except for Trump for some reason. He looked about the same age going in as he did coming out. But Trump might just be that rare breed, right? But everyone else, literally, like, you could see them age in 4 years. Like Obama came in there all black. 4 years later, all gray with a few wrinkles. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he would have had less gray hairs and less wrinkles if he didn't conduct his secret drone wars on civilians and do all the things he did at the border. But whatever, we're not going to go there today. And no, that's not my photo of him on the wall. He said Obama's a great example. So I looking young, end up looking like he aged 20 years. I think it was mostly the hair though. Like it definitely grayed him. Like if he dyed the hair and maybe got like a good facial, he probably would have looked more or less the same. But it definitely took a toll on him. Just within the first 4 years, I'm not even talking about the whole 8. But after the whole 8 year, he went from because didn't he go into office like 39, 40, something like that? Or maybe it was 40, 41, I don't know. But he went in like that, and he came out looking like he was 60, like 60 plus years old, like late 60s, like. Miss Nita says, and they need a thorough health check. I agree. Zay says, why eating with a spoon? Because that's how you scoop up food without using your hands. That's why. So, scoop. Difference is yes, and there honestly should be a third-party doctor who does not have any incentive to lie about the results. I agree with that. The person who gives the health check should not be someone who's partial to that particular president or his cabinet or his party. It should be like maybe it's not, because it's not the Surgeon General who does it, but it should be some sort of like office. Maybe there is, and I'm just ignorant of that, but it should be like a separate government office just for like the presidential doctor or whatever, and they reserve for like the president, the VP, and maybe the chair. I don't know. Maybe the chair for the House of Representatives. I don't know, and the Senate president. Miss Neal said, yeah, Delphi, no bribe money either, but one can dream, right? Right. So I'm eating all properly, guys. I would be a straight savage if I wasn't in front of here. There would be no spoon. It would just be me, this fork, and this plate. And that's it. No Diddy. But I'm trying to be polite here. Gordon Ramsay even was like, it's effing raw. First of all, Gordon Ramsay is not the end all be all in cooking. He's just a guy that has a reality show screaming at people. Who cares what he thinks? And different cuts of meat are better at different temperatures. The amount of redness in the meat is based on the temperature of the meat at which it's cooked. It has nothing to do with it being raw. None of it is raw. Even if you ate it blue rare, that's still not raw. They can't serve it to you. They can't serve it to you raw. So they can serve it to you rare, even blue rare, which is like a very cold temperature. Is the internal temperature of the meat. So well done refers to the internal temperature of the meat. Well done. Medium well. Medium rare, rare to medium, rare, and blue rare. That all refers to the internal temperature of the meat. That's it. It has nothing to do with how raw the meat is, because they don't serve it. They don't serve the meat raw. So you guys just simply don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Mr. Neal said, Cannon, where's the lamb sauce? I don't know what the lamb sauce is supposed to be, but I sprinkled some hot sauce on the sausage with the onions and tomatoes, which I fried with the Italian sausage. The rice, I just lightly fried in the grease for the sausage, and a little bit of vegetable oil, and put in some garlic and little bit of little bit of salt, no base seasoning. So, Moonlit, for instance, what we eating can't see comments in the way. High needle. Yeah, so that's what I was eating. Moonlit Fern. Um, and Ken still talk. So notice I haven't even banned any of these clowns yet, except I think one. No, I did ban one of them, but Ken just mad that Uncle Ben isn't in his mouth. Denver says Moonlit. If you click anywhere besides chat, it will hide it. Oh. Yeah, so I guess the comments were in front of the plate. I kind of did that on purpose just so I didn't have people all in my plate. So that was sort of intentional, but it gave you a good gist of of the plate. But I didn't need people all in my plate like that, you know. So I did it on purpose. All three videos I sort of did that where I set up the camera where you could see me eating the food, but the food wasn't like in full display of the angle of the camera. Because everyone's gonna have something to say about what you eat. Like these people down telling me I was eating sausage raw when that's not even. It was obviously fried, so it's not raw. So. Miss Nita said some raw meat. It wasn't raw, guys. I literally fried it, and I didn't like put it on the high heat. I actually thoroughly cooked it, but I understand a lot of people, especially black people, have an issue with red meat unless it's well done. But I don't like my red meat well done. For me, red meat well done is overcooked, and it cooks the flavor and the nutrients out of it. So, Special K is for horses. Says, do you think there's been kind of a glass ceiling for younger people in politics since the Kennedys, due to the radical change she brought that they didn't want? I don't know if I can't say if it's due to the Kennedys, but like I said, it's definitely harder for a younger person to get into a higher level of politics. Like you'll see most younger politicians at the lower levels, like city councils, um, aldermans, stuff like that. Maybe sometimes even mayors, but usually mayors, governors, senators, congressional, congressional representatives, and of course presidents and judges all tend to be elderly. And I said that's because we have a gerontocracy. Within our American gerontocracy, the rule by the old, but the sinister part of the gerontocracy isn't just that they're old. It's the thought process behind why the old rule is that they basically earned the right to rule by way of their age. And it's like, no, you get that privilege through experience, was not necessarily through age. With with being someone who represents the interests of the people who elected you. But we have this gerontocracy in America where the wealthy elite think once they hit a certain age, then that automatically makes them more qualified to um, be in office than younger people, and that just simply isn't the case. All right, Ron, you're done. Get the fuck off my page. And so are you, Ken, whatever the fuck your name is. Clown. He says meal was trash. So was your mother's head game. I'm only friends with y'all lucky I'm not in mine. And this happens a lot. I don't know if you guys ever watch like some of the foodie videos on Facebook, but literally every time someone like is cooking meat, there's always something someone has to say. People are even saying, "Hey, you overcooked this," or "Hey, this is undercooked. It's still moving." Like, just let people enjoy their food. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no level of cooking meat that people won't criticize. Like, if someone does it like medium to medium well, then all the people who like it rare and medium rare will say, "Oh, that's overcooked." And yeah, it may be overcooked, but that person may prefer it that way. Or certain cuts of meat do have to be like well done or whatever, because it they they're not, it wouldn't be well to be like at rare. Like, you don't cook brisket rare, so it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. So that's the one. So like brisket, yeah, no, you need that. That needs to be like medium well to well done. But if you're talking about like mini cuts of steak and stuff like that, then hey, yeah, that's probably better at a medium rare or even rare. I've tried them both. Rare was pretty good actually. Medium rare is probably the optimal for most people, but again, it depends on the cut of meat. But everyone has something to say about it. Wait, did I ban this guy? Oh yeah, I did. Okay. Jumper says, "Can dust off the Doritos dust from your stomach and wipe off the crusted up semen." Damn. Now that's savage. Moonlit Fern says, "I remember reading a version of Hulk where only Hulk and Wolverine were the last two people on Earth, and after Wolverine died, Hulk was alone and Bruce wanted to die, but Hulk wouldn't let him." So that wasn't the Old Man Logan thing, because in Old Man Logan, Wolverine actually killed Hulk, who had formed an incestuous relationship with She-Hulk, his cousin, and had children, and they were all like these little hillbillies. So I'm guessing that was sort of like a what if that you read, because that didn't happen in the Old Man Logan series. Maybe that was the version of Hulk when he turns into Maestro, Immortal Hulk. Maybe that's what that was, or in the Ultimate Universe. But yeah, that wasn't the one I read with Old Man Logan. Jeff Moore says, "Who the hell is watching you eat?" Molly Fern says, "And I read the Deadpool one where he had both symbiote Carnage and Venom version and a dog too. It was insane." Yeah, so they got the Deadpool dog in the new movie, so everyone's like, "Uh oh." Although he doesn't look exactly like the Deadpool dog from the comics, but I don't know. Maybe I think they changed it a little bit. Joe says, "I remember I bought a ribeye to put on the grill, but my mom, bless her heart, decided to boil it, ew, and make it into a soup. I was so sad that I spent $35 for a boiled steak." Man, I know you were heated. You don't boil a ribeye steak. Boil a boil a ribeye steak. Man, I would have been mad. But I mean, I know it's your mom. But really, there's only two good things to do with ribeye steak. You either grill that bad boy, or or fry, dry or grill it, whatever, or you can cut up the ribeye steak and make it into like a cheesesteak. As ribeye steak cut up as a cheesesteak would be good. Um, but boiled it, turned it into soup. That's just enough. Since we're talking about the Hulk, that's an abomination. Man, that's crazy. It's like my elderly grandmother. Like all she eats is like very soupy stuff, or she'll just like eat salad. And she's like, "Are you cooking meat?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "You should eat a lot of meat. You need to eat more vegetables." I'm like, "Grandma, like vegetables don't fill me up." And I was like, I work out. I need to eat protein." I said, "Eating salads isn't going to do it for me." And mind you, I did eat salad. You guys remember seeing me yesterday eat salad, but I also had it with 3 tuna sandwiches. Moonlit Fern says, "Don't listen to him eating grilled cheese and pickles, the goofy trolls." Greg Swan says, "I like my steak lightly boiled in milk with a side of jelly beans." Huh? With a side of jelly beans? I know you trying to be funny. You gotta be, you gotta be being funny. Oh, I'm sorry, Moonlit Fern. So the topic was what's going on with America's gerontocracy? How we get rid of it? Because, like I said, what spurred it on was yesterday, Biden's press conference. So everybody was waiting on his press conference to show that he could be, coherent and basically, it's sad at for me at this point. The fact that he has to do a press conference to even show that he's still cognitively fit enough to be president and run for the next 4 years already puts it in question that he shouldn't be. But you would think that whatever preparations he did for this press conference, he would have ensured that he not only like did a adequate conference, but he would have overperformed. Like he'd have been over prepared. They would have gave him some sort of performance enhancing drugs to keep him vital. I mean, the man was falling asleep in a debate and even admitted it himself. And like I said, his biggest corporate donors are backing out right now. The Obama type insiders who were supporting him, they're pulling away. It's done for him. And the whole conference was to reassure everyone that he was still mentally on the ball, and he didn't. It wasn't convincing. It wasn't convincing. And I was saying it's not he alone, but he's a symptom of an overall problem in American politics, that we have a gerontocracy. We have too many old fucking people running the country. And like I said, it's wrong-headed in the fact that a gerontocracy is supported on the claim that basically these elderly elite think that by age it is their time to rule, and that's just not how it should go. We should be led by the people who are the most capable, not just by people who've been there the longest. Um, so that's what I have a problem with. And I mean, the other issue with that is, if they're so elderly that, let's be honest, within any given time, within any given time frame while they're in office, they could just die. Like, they really have no skin in the game in the decisions that they're making for the rest of the country, and by proxy the rest of the world. When they talk, when it comes to like wars, taxes, the economy, like, they have no skin in the game. They're wealthy and they're exceedingly old. So most of the decisions that will impact us for the next 10 years don't come to play for them. They're aloof because they're already in the wealthy elite, but they're also aloof because they won't have to suffer their decisions in the future. We will, and our children. But even their children are old, so it doesn't matter. Like literally, they're so old that their children are old. Delphi says, Moonlight, I don't like the trolls either, but grilled cheese and pickles sounds delicious. Yeah, I was about to say, that doesn't sound bad. Grilled cheese and pickles over diced steak. Like I said, like ribeye or what's the other cut they usually use for Philly steak subs? Um, I forgot, but yeah, that the grilled cheese and pickles with over either over like a smoked sausage or a steak sub, that actually wouldn't be that bad. It was like in DC, they have those things called half smokes. Um, that might be good. Great. Jeff says, Greg, are you a philanthropist as well? Yeah, you guys are crazy. Greg's corner says, yes, autistics and such. Jeff says, no, it reminds me of a kimchi grilled cheese that I had a while back. I don't kimchi. Did it have any meat with the kimchi though? Because kimchi with grilled cheese. Now kimchi fried rice is delicious, but kimchi by itself is like I don't really like kimchi. To me is like the Korean version of coleslaw. It's like the thing they serve with a meal, and it's like Now, but coleslaw is good though if you put it on a burger or on a fried chicken sandwich. It's sort of like the same with kimchi. You can put kimchi like on a fried chicken sandwich or something, and it's good. But by itself, it's just like, yeah. Dylan says, Greg, I need to catch up on Lace Up. Best show hands down. Only for instance, just an opinion, but I don't believe presidents should be that old too. Gatekeepers that are far out of touch with society. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like once they're in an once they like when you talk about someone in their 80s, like they're just out of touch with reality. Like you know, bless my grandmother, but she's out of touch with reality. Like when she's seeing all these people make fun of Biden, she doesn't get it. She think they're just being cruel. Like I was watching a segment of The Daily Show when it was like Jon Stewart, and she was like, "Oh, these white people always like to laugh at things that aren't funny." And I'm like, "No, Grandma, this is funny." I was like, plus, I mean, it's just obvious. Like he's not all there. Like it wouldn't be so bad that he's that old if he was still mentally sharp, but he's not. And the thing is, mental age and chronological age hit people differently. Like some people's mental age doesn't match their chronological age, because either it may be lesser or more than their chronological age. With Biden is definitely showing like he's not all there anymore. Whereas look at his counterpart, Harrison Ford, who's literally playing the president in the new Captain America movie, A Brave New World. I don't know what age he plays in the film, but in real life, Harrison Ford is 81. He's that old, guys. But Harrison Ford is still sharp, and that's probably because he stays physically fit. Again, for those, if I have to keep reiterating this, I will. Physical fitness equals mental fitness. I'm gonna keep repeating that because it's worth over communicating. Physical fitness equals mental fitness. Harrison Ford says he stays in shape. Like I think he horseback rides and does some other stuff, physically active things. So he's therefore still able to, be out there doing his thing. Because when he did a press conference for that horrible new Indiana Jones movie, And I love Indiana Jones, and I love Harrison Ford as an actor, but I wasn't going to see that new film because I think they just did the character dirty. Disney did him dirty. But during the press conference, like he got a standing ovation at the I think at the Cannes Film Festival, and there was like even some young reporter like kind of like thirsting after him, saying like, "Hey, you know, you kind of good looking for your age at 80 or whatever." He's like, "Oh yeah." and, and she was asking him like, you know, what he did to stay in shape and all this sort of stuff. And he was like, I'm still physically active. I horseback ride. He said, so when in the movie when I'm horseback riding, he said that's actually me. I can still ride horses. So he's one of those people. Like if he was in office, you would be confident that he could still make intelligible decisions. But Biden, no, we've seen him declining for the last 10 years. Like we've seen it before our eyes. What was bad is that now there are people, these insiders who were part of the Obama coalition are saying that they've been hiding from people. They've been hiding it from both the public and the press, just how bad Biden has gotten. Like they've been hiding it from us, from both the public and from the press. So these political insiders in the DNC have known for years how bad Biden was, and they hid it from us. This is another reason why I'm not a Democrat. Okay, this is another reason why you shouldn't be partisan. You should pick people based on whom is the best to run for office, and has your your concerns in mind in their campaign promises. The fact the DNC has been bullshit for me for like the last 12 years. The fact that they will hide from everyone that this man was in a stage of mental decline is horrible. Like this takes us back to like the Reagan years when they were hiding the fact that Reagan was going through dementia, and that in his second term, Nancy Reagan was calling out was making a lot of the decisions for him. So Monty says I'm back. Oh hey, what's up? I didn't know you were coming back. Mullet Fern says fuck being polite, eat how you want and what you want. These trolls can't use chopsticks and never have wagyu. Exactly. The only reason I wasn't using chopsticks the other day when I was eating the noodle stuff is because I don't have them here. Next time I go back to my other place, which is probably gonna be tomorrow, Sunday, I'm gonna go pick up my bug out bag and bring it here because I like to have my bug out bag wherever I'm staying. For like if I'm gonna be somewhere for at least several weeks or whatever, I want my bug out bag near me. So I need to get that. I'm gonna get my chopsticks, get some more of my workout equipment. But yeah, and I think anyone who eats with chopsticks is on a whole different level of other people, definitely. And they definitely wouldn't know Wagyu or Kobe beef or anything like that. You're absolutely right. Greg's Corner says this man knows his meat, no diddy. Thank you. No diddy taken. But yeah, like I said, people don't know their meat, right? Like I said, red meat is supposed to be red. That's literally why they call it red meat. The stuff, the red juice that everyone sees coming out of the meat is not blood. That's myoglobin. You know this, but they think is blood because that's the only thing they can think of. And I keep telling them like they're not gonna serve raw meat to anyone. Like that's now you can eat raw meat at home if you choose, but you're gonna get sick. Like no one but if you go to a restaurant or anything like that, they can't serve raw meat to anyone. They can serve it rare, when but again, when you're talking about rare, you're just talking about the internal temperature of the meat. You're not talking about the meat being untreated or not prepared and all that sort of stuff. Like they can't serve raw meat. It's rare, which is due to the internal temperature. So, like I said, well done to blue rare just refers to the internal temperature of the meat. It has nothing to do with the meat being raw. And it just depends on a person's preferences of how they like to eat their meat. No diddy. I know I saw you back, Amani. We know you back. Tell Diddy no says what up with it though. Muslim. When I was Actually, when I was a child, I was Muslim. That's why my real name is Aman. Um, but when my mother married my stepfather, we became Christian. So I myself don't follow any religion, but as a child, I was Muslim. Then we became Christian. So, and I also have some Dutch Jewish ancestry as well. So got all three of them rolled up in one. All three Abrahamic religions rolled up in one. Well, the first said he's nonstop talking about this and he makes jokes but super informed and intelligent. Thank you. Stoned Oki Solution says you can run for mayor here and how do you pronounce that? Stoned Oki? Is it Ocleta? Ocleta, Oklahoma? Is it Ocleta or Acleta? I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Stoned Oki says at 25 and be a local resident. So I remember there was a president, not president, a mayor as young as 21. I think this was in Texas. I remember it because it was on, if you guys remember the old reality show from MTV called Road Rules. So, you have the first reality show, which was on MTV, which was a Real World. That's still a classic. And by the way, 2 years ago, no, 3 years ago, they did a 30-year reunion for the show, for the original Real World season. They came out in '91, so the original cast came back, but like a year after that, they did a spinoff called Road Rules, where it was basically like Real World, but they were all like in like a I don't know, like a trailer or Winnebago or whatever, going around traveling as they filmed them living together. And in one of the seasons they were in Texas, and one of the girls on the show started dating this guy who's a mayor. He was only 21 years old, but he was like, looking at it, then he was pretty mature for his age to be 21 and a mayor. But that's the youngest I've seen a mayor was like 20. He was like 21 years old. Stone Oki says shameless youth are not as interested in locale politics. Yeah. The problem is, no, I'm sorry, local politics. The problem with that Stone Oki is that local politics are the most important, because local politics are actually the things that's going to affect you in your day-to-day life. What your city council decides, what your alderman is doing, what your county council is doing, or your township. Those are the things that's going to actually affect you, not something on the federal level. The things that are going to affect you on the federal level are like big heady things, like war and federal taxes or imprisonment and stuff like that. But on the local level, that's the most important thing you should be, like, for a person who wants to be an informed citizen. Your local politics is actually the most important thing you should be involved in, not the presidential election. The presidential election is the most inconsequential thing you should be worrying about, really, to be honest, especially if you're not an electoral college voter. If you're not an electoral college voter, it really doesn't even matter, because in 48 of 50 states, whatever the popular vote is, that candidate gets all the electoral votes in that state. And there's only 2 states where that's not the case. That's Maine, and I believe the other one is Nevada. But outside of those 2 states, like, pretty much, if you don't vote, if you're not voting for the candidate most likely to win in your state, so if if you're in a blue state, that state is already going to Biden, even if you are a Trump supporter. Like, that's going to be the case for me. I live in Maryland is a blue state, so I know that I still know that Biden is more than likely going to get the Maryland vote, like the Maryland electoral college vote, because the popular vote is all going to go mostly to Biden. And in most states except for two, it's a winner take all with the electoral college vote. Um, but that doesn't deter me. I'm still going to vote Trump anyway, because I'm not voting for Biden. I just refuse. Now, that could change, like I said, if a lot of these electoral college voters are going to be hesitant to elect Biden, even if the popular vote does go his way. That can happen. But most places are already entrenched. You already know there's a few so-called purple states, or these are the swing states, the purple states that are up for grabs, like Michigan and places like that. So those swing states are the most important, where they need to run their campaigns. But for half of the country, it's already decided which states are going to go to which candidates. But in any case, all that is to say that local politics should be important to young people, because that's something that they can actually control, and which will actually make them feel empowered, because their vote will actually matter on the local level. So it's actually more empowering. Plus, with the local level, it's easier to run for office too. So if you are really concerned about politics at the local level, you can run for office. So I did. I don't know if I've admitted this on camera before, but I actually, when I was in college, ran for the city council of College Park in Maryland. And the problem was that when I turned in my petition, I found out that a lot of people who signed my petition weren't actually in my district. So I had to go back out and get enough valid signatures for people within my district to run for city council office. However, at that very time, a tornado hit, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not fooling with that." So I missed the deadline. Oh well, I could have done it earlier, but I only thought about running for office because I saw it in the campus newspaper that it was still time to run, and they were actually asking some of the older students who were over the age of 21 to try to run for local office. But I did it, so I was actually putting my proverbial um, foot where my mouth was. So Dilfer says, Stone, the majority of you still won't vote due to laziness or not caring, which is a damn shame. It's not really, part of it is laziness, Dilfer, but the other thing is just political apathy. And I'll be honest, I was apathetic for the last 2 years. That's why I didn't vote in the midterms back in 2022, because I really just didn't care anymore. I just didn't. The only reason I'm voting now in the presidential election is just to show my discontent with Democratic leaders, particularly Black Democrat leaders, who I think don't have Black people's best interests in heart. To show my discontent for them, I'm voting them all out of office in my state. So I realized that I can be both apathetic and do a hate vote at the same time. do a vote, I forgot what you call it, but yeah, you can vote and be apathetic at the same time. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Raven says, "Hey, I was here on last night's live." I remember you, Raven. I was saying I hope you come back. So I ate again, by the way. You missed it. I ate a third time. I had some Italian sausage, which I fried with some onions and tomatoes, and then I made a little bit of garlic fried rice with it. Moonlit Fern says food critics ridiculous. Everyone eats differently. Travel outside your trailer park, experience different food and culture. Otherwise, you're speaking nonsense. Amen. Amen. That's all I gotta say. A Stone Oak OK Solution says Dilford, no joke. It's a shame, no doubt. And like I said, it's a bunch of reasons. There's political apathy. There's laziness. There's the sense of, well, this really doesn't affect me anyway. And then there's the fourth thing, which related to political apathy, is the fact that actually a lot of young people are more politically informed than older people who vote. However, that's where the apathy kicks in, because they know that it doesn't really matter, because their vote is equal to the same nincompoop who's voting as well, which is why I believe there should be some sort of newocracy, or particularly my version of a newocracy would be an epistocracy. So newocracy means a government or ruling by people who are knowing. And epistocracy kind of reinforces that notion. Episteme, which refers to knowledge. So in an epistocracy, and by the way, this is not my idea. This was the idea of some political philosopher like 10 years ago. But in any case, in the epistocracy, similar to a democracy, everyone would still hold a vote. However, in the epistocracy, people who can demonstrate that they are politically informed will get a weighted vote. And that would actually decrease political apathy, because people who tend to be the most well-informed tend not to vote, because they think, and with good cause, by the way, they think these things that it doesn't really matter. So it actually would matter if they had a way to vote, and that would be a good start. I mean, one of the things we could do for right now, which would be less radical, would just have ranked choice voting. That would help a lot. But there's a lot of pushback from both the DNC and the RNC for ranked choice voting within all these different voting districts across the country, because then they couldn't simply just reinforce that their candidate will just keep getting reelected each term. Where I mean, it's so bad that they gerrymander these districts just to make sure that their candidate stays in office. But so they definitely wouldn't like us to have the ability to do ranked choice voting. But that would be a step in a good direction, and so would, like I said, being able to let politically informed voters have a weighted vote. I think that would be an excellent idea. It depends on how you do it, though, like whether do you want to means test them at the ballot. Some people might have a problem with that, because it might point to problems with like how there used to be biased elections back in the day towards poor people and black people. But in this case, it wouldn't be denying anyone a vote. In this case, it would actually be awarding people who can, by some sort of means testing, show that they are politically informed to have a weighted vote. So if everyone's vote is 1, then maybe theirs is a 3. So I'm just making those numbers up. Rebel Landstruck says you look like Marvin Watson. I don't know who Marvin Watson is. Moonlit Fern says might have been Immortal Hawk. I'll have to go through storage. I'll find it eventually. Yeah, I think Immortal Hawk was Maestro though, right? Or are those two different versions of the Hawk? I thought Maestro and Immortal Hawk were the same thing. But either way, I think that's. I don't think it's a what if comic, but I think it's like one of those. It's one of those other alternate universes. It's not like Earth 616. I don't believe. I don't think. Molded Furnace says boil a ribeye. Y'all crazy. No. That's not us. He was saying his mother did that. Like he went out and bought a ribeye steak that he was going to grill, and then he found out that his mother boiled it and made it into a soup. And I was just, I mean, we were all just reading that astounded, like, damn. Like, how do you butcher a good cut of meat like that? Like, ribeye steak does not deserve the it does not deserve the disgrace of becoming soup. Soup is for like poor choices of poor cuts of meat, not excellent cuts of meat like ribeye. That's crazy. Stoned Stoned OK Solution says Lil Carne Asadas, but prime cut. Best way to go. I eat nothing but potatoes and steaks or red meat 24/7. I wouldn't eat that every day. It sounds no. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's delicious, but steak and potatoes every day is not. That's not good. That's not good. You gotta mix it up a little bit. Unless you want like that's part of your fitness routine. If that's part of your fitness routine, I'm not gonna knock it. But I would still say you need to mix it up a little bit, not just steak, not just red meat and potatoes every day. Throwing some chicken, throwing some fish. Um, you know, I just mix it up. But I mean, it's not bad if especially if you on like a high protein diet for like your fitness regimen or something like that. Stoned OK Solutions that sucks. No taste buds since TBI burn the steak. Still eating it. Oh man. So you saying so you like you ate the steak and then burned your taste buds like your tongue basically probably like the roof of your mouth and like the top of your tongue. Now that's savage. 411 says I'm pro draft. Well, I mean the selective service is sort of like a hedging towards the draft. It's not the draft itself, but it's a hedging. Like if we needed a draft, then you have the selective service from which to select all these folks for a draft process. So I'm in favor of it. I think they should extend it to women though, because I think they shouldn't. I don't think it's unfair that only men should have to go through the selective service process to be eligible for federal aid, for federal student aid. Plus, I think anyone who can vote on sending young men to war to die for their country should also have skin in the game too. This is one of the reasons why women historically didn't vote, because they didn't have skin in the game. But if they're going to have the same privileges as us, they should have the same responsibilities as us. If they can vote and talk and send men to their death, then they should be a part of that equation as well. So. Thomas, he says Vice President Trump with the F. Who said Vice President Trump? Did I misspeak and say Vice President Trump? Who? Wait, did I say VP Trump, guys, or did someone else did? I don't. If I did, I definitely misspoke. And I'm looking down the comments. I don't see anyone else who said it, so maybe I did say it. But if I said it, guys, I definitely was a slip of the tongue. Stoned OK Solutions is Thomas. See how I had to double check I wasn't hearing things. OJB, bless his heart. Wait, guys, who? OJB. Oh, Joe. Oh, you talking about Joe Biden when the press conference? Yeah. So he said VP. Yeah, he did say that. He said VP Donald Trump. Also, do you remember when he was? Then he was also introducing Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, and called him Putin. And I remember when that first happened, I saw this on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, they just trolling. And then my friend at the same time, he's like, yo, they just said Biden called that dude Putin. I was like, oh, so this is real. I say, I thought people were just trolling on Instagram because I saw Charlie Kirk say that on Instagram. And I'm like, oh, he's probably just trolling. But then it was other sources that said it as well. I was like, oh, okay, this is true. But it goes to what I was saying, guys. We don't need a gerontocracy running the government. We need people who are young enough to have skin in the game. Just like I said with women, like they should have some skin in the game if they're gonna vote on matters that can send men to their graves. They should be a part of the equation as well. Likewise, if we shouldn't have people who are so old running for office that their decisions don't matter to them because they won't be alive to see the consequences of those decisions. He's he's 81. If he got reelected this year, he would be 82 when he gets reelected. Someone that old does not have skin in the game for the decisions he may make within the next 4 years, as far as whom he elects to Supreme Court, laws, the laws that he might legislate, or veto, or whatever the case may be, wars he may start. I mean, the guy. I don't even think the guy stays up like a full what 14 hours. Like, I'm pretty sure he sleeps half the day, like just constant naps. Stone OK Solution says politics has always been that way. Something has to be adjusted, to say the least. Yeah, like I'm saying, we need to stop letting when we have these old candidates that run for office, we should just collectively say no, we're not voting for these people. Like, just vote for a third party candidate just to show our dismay at the fact that we don't want these two. We don't need crusty old ass politicians who probably wear Depends running for office. We should just say nope. I'm either gonna vote third party or I'm just not gonna vote. Like, Miss Neil says Moonlit out of touch with everybody and its reality. Didn't Joe Biden say where am I? Did he say that? See, I didn't watch that whole press conference. Like I said yesterday, I wasn't going to watch the whole thing because I just refused to see the ramblings of an old man for over an hour. Molly Ferris says kimchi is 100% Korean fermented coleslaw. Pretty much. To me, that's what I said. To me, it's just the Korean version of coleslaw. Just more disgusting. Prophecy says I'm physically 25, but mentally I'm probably 67. You need to do something about that. You should not be your mental age should not be 67 if your physical age, if your chronological age is 25. Forever 411 says they've grown out of touch with the economy. How he lived compared to how most Americans live now are entirely different. Let's not forget the fact that he thinks the economy is based on the market. Right. That's a good point. I mean, the economy, we do have a market economy, but if you're talking about but if you're saying that there are things outside of the forces, the economic market forces that go into the economy, well, yeah, that's true. What I think they fail to consider is how multifactorial those processes are. And some of them do know, they just don't care because, like I said, it doesn't concern them. When you can just do insider trading legally, like Nancy Pelosi and like half of Congress does, you're going to be somewhat aloof from the average American. Like, it's like they're old and they're entitled, and that is a bad combination. That's why you can have one senator who everyone's telling she needs to leave. Like, she's actually suffering dementia. Like has clinically been diagnosed with dementia, like Senator Dianne Feinstein, and still determined to keep her seat. Like, no, she needs to give up her seat, or she needs to be forced out, because there's no way someone who has been diagnosed with dementia should be still able to hold office. That should be like a national security issue. Well, the friend says it's not about race anymore. It's about who's more entertaining. But remove religion and big pharma, big banks, etc. Monopolize back politicians. Excuse me, monopolize back political parties and change the age and watch USA prosper. But they let, but hey, Rome fell. Exactly. Then I should probably read that book on that too. That Thomas Sowell thought was a good book. And I think they have some new show on. I think it's Peacock. It's either Prime or Peacock. They're gonna be showing this show based on ancient Rome. But yeah, I mean Rome is just one of the examples, but we have several examples of how great empires fell. One of the key indicators that they were falling is when they started caring more about progressive values and certain sorts of identity politics, even back in ancient times. That's sort of a key indicator that we're at in the end times of our civilization. But things can be different now. That was over 2,000 years ago. Now that's like what, 2,500 years ago. Maybe things have changed. Maybe all this progressive stuff isn't necessarily a harbinger of the end times, but it certainly seems like it. And the democracy which ran Rome didn't turn out that great. Although they did, it was a healthy attempt. Dilfer says Moonlit said that the debate was just a dick measuring contest with no substantial information on why the American public should have voted for either of them. That's sort of how debates go, to be honest. I think if they really wanted it to be an actual stimulating political debate, it wouldn't have just been the two of them. It would have been everyone who's currently running for the first debate, and then the later it shouldn't have been just the two of them until both of them were inaugurated by their representative parties as the nominee. Like once the DNC basically crowned Biden and the RNC crowned Trump, then they would just have their one-on-one debate. But until then, they should have allowed other people. At the very least, they should have allowed RFK to be there. And also, they could have let the other people who are running, because there's like several other people running under as Democrats, like Dean, whatever his name is, and that weird woman who's all into like spiritual mumbo jumbo, and I can't remember her name. What about and then of course like there's JFK, there's Cornel West, then there's the candidates like that nutty chick for the Green Party, Jill Stein, and some other folks. So they should have, for the first debate, they should have had all of them on stage. Then that would have actually been a lively debate. JR says we'll never vote for a geriatric felon. 45-year gig is up. Well, again, like I said, so what, he was convicted of a felony. The felony was just about some hush money paid to a porn star who lied and claimed that he abused her when she had just 3 years prior went on the Bill Maher show on HBO and talked about the whole thing and said that he wasn't abusive towards her at all. But then she played up the whole abuse thing for this trial. So everything she said is fugazi. On top of that, who cares if he's a felon? Literally every president has been a criminal. Literally everyone since the very first one. You guys need to know your American history. This is why history is important. This is why they shouldn't be taking history out of public schools. George Washington was a criminal. This guy acquired land that didn't belong to him after the French and Indian Wars, and became the first president who was also a real estate mogul. Trump wasn't the first one. He also kept his day job as a landlord while he was in office in the White House. Also, he owned slaves. So every time I hear a historian saying that Trump was the worst president we've ever had, I'm gonna be like, you are full of shit, because any president who owns slaves is by and large, to me, worse than Trump. And not only was George Washington a slave owner, there was a law at the time in Pennsylvania, I think because of the Quakers or whatever, but there was a law in Pennsylvania that stated after X amount of years that slaves had to be released from bondage. So what did George Washington do? He took those very slaves and sent them to plantations in other states in which he owned land to restart the whole time period for the time they could be kept in servitude. On top of some other stuff that he's done. But he was like one of the founding fathers and our first president. And typically some people argue he was one of the top president. Others argue it's Lincoln. So let's go to Lincoln. Lincoln suspended habeas corpus during the Civil War and jailed over like 13,000 people who either disagreed with the war or spoke against military enlistment. On top of that, when he ran for office, he smuggled thousands of his supporters into the voting rooms to vote for him. That's illegal. Could you imagine if Trump did that? Good old honest Abe actually smuggled in a bunch of his own supporters to vote for him into these private voting rooms, whichever way they used to do their electoral process at that time. Could you imagine if they caught Trump doing that? Could you imagine if they caught Obama doing that? All hell would have broken loose. Every president has been a criminal. However, it's always been assumed that presidents had immunity from most of these crimes while in office. The only difference is that the Supreme Court recently made it official, and they actually specified the 3 levels of immunity of which a president can wield, and it was determined that they don't have absolute immunity, but they have immunity in 2 out of 3 of these types of immunity, including presumptive immunity. And right now, because of that Supreme Court decision, he's now going back with his appeal process, saying because of this recent Supreme Court decision, that they should reverse the conviction that was placed upon him a few months ago. In any case, whether that works out to his favor or not, every president has been a criminal. Every president. Especially when it comes to war crimes. People love Obama. This man was launching a secret drone war on civilians. Not on enemy combatants, on civilians. In places like Yemen, Somali, Sudan, all these other places. He was killing civilians with his secret drone strikes, and the stuff he was doing at the Mexican border was so heinous that even people on the left started calling him the deporter in chief. He tried to offset that by doing that whole DACA thing, but that DACA thing doesn't change the fact of what he was doing at the border. Way more heinous than what people were talking about Trump doing when they were saying he was locking up children at the border and all this sort of stuff. Obama was doing that worse. Like, on top of that, in the Washington, and I keep saying this because I want this to be understood, because everyone remembers, or some of us who are older remember, how much people hated Bush and thought he was a war criminal. And yes, he was a war criminal. But despite Bush being an obvious war criminal and launching a war against Iraq under uh, the dubious idea that they've actually forged the intelligence to say that they had weapons of mass destruction, which was definitely not true. It came to the front, like I said, this was reported in the Washington Post, not in some sort of conservative leaning newspaper. It was reported in the Washington Post that Obama was approving black black operations that even Bush wouldn't approve. Yet he gets the Nobel Peace Prize. But he's doing drone strikes on civilians. He's approving black ops that were too controversial for even George W. Bush to approve. And he was leading a paramilitary thing going on at the Mexican border. But whatever. Like I said, they're all criminals. It's just that Trump was the only one that actually was convicted of something. So what? So what? The people who founded our country were all convicted traitors to the British Crown. So what? Anyway, sorry about that, guys. Only, for instance, I agree, it was literally watch Jersey Shore. The debate was goofy. Is that only, for instance, I'm the same with my bug out bag. Yeah, I feel naked without it. Only Fern, like no Diddy, but yeah, I need my bug out bag here. I don't like being this long. It's been over 2 weeks now, and I haven't had it. I don't like that. Delver says, sad that the Obama versus Mitt Romney debate, which was a whole 360, was still considered a debate failure in which they were both polite and cordial with each other, because it wasn't exciting. That's why. That's the reason why. People like the rah-rah of a cantankerous debate. The Harvey says he likes it medium rare all day. Exactly. Medium rare is usually like the optimal temperature for most cuts of red meat. But like I said, it depends on the cut, because like some cuts are better well done, like brisket. Like brisket, you can't cook that rare or medium rare. I don't think it will work out for brisket. But for most cuts, you can have medium rare or rare, and it depends on what cut to which temperature is probably the optimal one. But generally, for most cuts, medium rare is the optimal one. Tara says VP Harris is ready. She's always been ready. Yeah, ready to fail. Harvey says, I mean, you can order it blue. Yeah, you can order blue. But, like I said, like I was explaining to people, blue still isn't raw. Like, blue is still lightly cooked. Like, they're just not going to serve you raw meat in a restaurant. They can't do that. Maybe in some sort of exotic restaurant where the laws don't matter, but for most places, no. Jared says, "What do you think about Project 2025?" I mean, I looked into it a little bit. Obviously, I'm not for everything in 2025. The Project 2025, other things I am for. However, I think they were wrong in saying that and attributing it to Trump when it was literally worked out by people at the Heritage Foundation, which is a well-known conservative think tank. So that's why he's distanced himself from it, because he knows it will damage what people. It will damage his image with moderates that he's trying to court, and also there's no indication that that was something he was for in the first place. Trump is a bit of an iconoclast, so he's not just your paleo conservative Republican, and he's definitely not a neocon. But he has all those people on his team. He has paleo conservative type people, and then he has these neocon type people that just want to go to war. And he has some of those erudite type conservatives that come from places like the Heritage Foundation, but they don't speak. But they themselves don't speak for him. So that's all I can really say about Project 2025. But like I said, I'm not for everything in it, but I'm definitely for some things in it. And we'll see how much of that he actually would make part of his campaign. Himalaya, for instance, wow, real world and road rules. No way am I that old now. The first road rules was 1991. Delford, I think he's just trolling, man. I don't think. I think he's just trolling, Delford. I don't think that's serious. Yeah, like I said, guys, he's trolling. Yeah, I'm naturally a skeptic, so I already. JR says you're not voting blue is essentially a vote for red. I am voting red. It's not essentially. I am voting red. You must be new to my videos. Well, welcome, JR. I am voting Trump. You can vote for Biden if you want to. I'm not. I made the mistake of voting for Biden back in 2020 because I was brainwashed, like a lot of people, into thinking that he was going to bring stability back to the White House. No, this man's been running since the 80s. He's been running for president for the last 40 years. He finally gets it and say he's going to be a one-term president and hand it over to a younger person after we've achieved stability from removing Trump from office. He's done nothing for us. He has us in 3 different proxy wars. The economy is shit. And on top of that, he panders to black people, but he won't actually do anything for them that he promised them. He promised to get rid of student loan debt for all the HBCU students, historically black colleges and universities. He instantly reneged on that. Whereas he did fight for student loan forgiveness somewhat, the part about the HBCU thing, he definitely just tossed aside. And he could have done student loan forgiveness anyway. It was no point in doing it under the COVID Relief Act when he already had the Higher Education Act in which to do what he wanted. Which all the other presidents who have done different things with the student loan stuff, going back to Obama, have all used the Higher Education Act in which to exercise that authority. Um, and like I said, he's been a joke to black people. This dude worked back in this. He's been in Congress since the '70s. This dude worked with segregationists like Strom Thurmond on anti-segregation legislation, which Kamala Harris herself pointed out when they ran against each other back in 2020. He eulogized the KKK leader Robert Byrd. He co-wrote the 1994 crime bill, which sent black men into mass incarceration in the 90s, some of whom are still rotting in those prisons today. And all he had to simply say for it now today was, "Oops, I made a mistake." Yeah, okay. He went on a hip hop radio morning show and told people they weren't black if they're deciding between whom to vote for, him or Trump. How the balls on this wrinkly old man to tell black people you aren't black if you don't vote for him, Jim Crow Joe. Man, fuck him. And fuck all the other Democratic leaders, especially the black Democratic leaders, because they haven't done shit for black people except sell us a bunch of canards. Yeah, I'm voting red, and I'm not even Republican. The real one, you got them. Like I already saw it. I already knew you were joking, but you got them. But yeah, peace, peace out to you. Sergeant says tornadoes in Maryland. Yeah, there's been tornadoes in Maryland. When I was at University of Maryland, there was a tornado that killed 2 students on campus. It took the car and launched the car into a tree, killed them both instantly. Yeah, just you guys only. I know some of you think there's only tornadoes in Middle America, like the so-called tornado highway going all the way from the top of the Midwest all the way down to Texas. But no, tornadoes happen on the West Coast and on the East Coast. This is not a phenomenon strictly within the Midwest. Okay. And on top of that, being we're on the East Coast, we also get hurricanes. So we get tornadoes and hurricanes. Last year, I was actually running I was running outside right after a tornado alert. This was like just like what? Actually, no, that was this year. That was like 4 months ago. I was 4 or 5 months ago. I was running right after a tornado alert, and I was like, shit, I should probably take my ass inside. But the place where they said the tornado was hitting wasn't in my area, but it was still probably not wise to go out running, knowing that there was a tornado like, within like probably a 25-mile radius. Packer says, good job, brother. I don't know what the good job is, but thank you. Super Blind says, you got muscles. Yeah. Damn it, Bobby says, get that workout in. Super Blind says, I think each state makes its own laws and rules on the state and local level, yes, but they have to follow federal as well. And when they don't, then you're gonna have then that's when it goes to the circuit, to the to the circuit courts, and then even on to the Supreme Court when there's a clash between state law and federal law, like who gets, who wins out here, states' rights or federal law, and it depends on whether the interpretation of the rules or laws rather is something that would be something supported through constitutional law or through what do you call it, through previous cases. So Superline says no. Federal government. LC 1995 says that's not a bad idea at all. Only friend says, "Oh, good point on political apathy, but if we as a people dug deeper, why is this? How is this happening? What's the best solution?" So yeah, so like the political apathy comes from the fact that a lot of people feel powerless within our system. They realize that we are ruled by a bunch of oligarchs who are also a bunch of old ass, feeble, wealthy elite. So it's not. So not only are we ruled by a bunch of wealthy elite, but they are a bunch of crusty old fucks at the same time. That leads to apathy amongst young people who are just like, whatever. And I think the more politically informed you are, the more likely you to be politically apathetic. So. C.J. Johnson says that would be a huge obstacle for interstate commerce directed at Superblend. Yeah. For instance, when we took gold away from backing the dollar, everything changed big time. Yes, but the dollar standard has benefits upon which the gold standard didn't. So it definitely, I know there's a lot of people who think that the gold standard was better than the dollar standard, but I really don't think so. Besides, gold is still worth a substantial amount, so it's always a good thing to hedge your investments. But the fact that we're using the dollar standard has actually put the American economy, made the American economy global, because basically everyone uses the American dollar as the backer for their economies. At some point, like 20 years ago, a lot of people started backing the euro, but overall, I think most places still use the American dollar. I'm only Fern and Miss Nito are funny. Miss Nito says they've been debating for forbidding gold every now and then. Yeah. Miss Nito asked Moonlit, "What's his drink of choice?" He said 100 Piper's Scotch whiskey on ice, but anything really. I'm a drinker. He said anything. Trying some Tokyo tea. No, I'm joking. Don't do that. That's a party drink. That's not something you drink at home. Laura Wager is back. She said Biden said it, like referring to Biden saying vote VP Trump. Yeah, he did say it. Slip of the tongue. Then he tried to catch himself, but it was too late. I'm like, you're holding a press conference to show everyone that you're supposed to be cognitively fit, and you failed miserably. That was a definite no-go. Miss Nita said whiskey is an unusual choice. And man, now you worry me don't destroy your liver, no joke. One of the friends that Biden said it was hilarious. So yeah, I like all the highlights I saw. Like the highlights, I didn't see him saying that, but I've read the article saying it. But the highlights I saw when he was saying Putin instead of Zelensky, that that is the highlight I kept seeing. J.A.C. says convicted felon doesn't have any skin in the game either. Okay. And tell Biden stop letting his crackhead son smoke crack in the White House. He's a convicted felon too. Why is he in the White House with his father? He already been kicked out of the Navy for being a crackhead, and now he's a felon for like lying on his applications to get a gun. A crackhead doesn't need to have a gun. Just saying. And remember a few years ago when they were saying that they found cocaine in the White House and no one knew who it belonged to? And we're like, come on, man. Come on. We all know who it belongs to. We know who it belongs to. And what's sad is that now it's Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's wife, Dr. Jill Biden, who are like supposedly making decisions for him. So we're gonna allow a crackhead who's also a convicted felon to be making decisions for his father, who's the president. And you don't have a problem with that, but you have a problem with Trump being convicted on a felony about hush money to a fucking porn slut. Okay. 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 Moonlit Friend says the draft is funny too. It's funny to me now. For the USA always needs infantry, but we grew too strong and our military is too advanced. We're fighting with robots and artillery that far outgun anything I've seen. Shoot, I've even seen infantry messing with drones and stuff like that now. We're definitely highly mechanized, but at the end of the day, you still need bodies. It's just like at a call center. Like, not everyone's going to be a good seller, but you still need a bunch of bodies in the office just to keep keep the phones going. Because if they're using an automatic dialer, the more people you have on the phones, the faster that dialer works. So sort of like in the military, the more people you have in infantry, the more meat you can push through the grinder. Not, you know what I mean. I don't mean they're just sending them to their slaughter, but I mean, you do need, when it comes to conventional infantry, you need a lot of people. But when you're talking about, special mission units, starting at the tier 3 with your light infantry, that is expected to be a more compact unit. Then you have your special forces, and then you have tier 1 units. But at the very bottom, your conventional infantry, you need a bunch of bodies. So I mean, I think selective service isn't going anywhere. Like I said, if anything, they need to add women to it. Laura Regis says, love the music. Thank you. I have on classical masterpieces. This one is, and I hope it doesn't give me a copyright strike. I can't see who this composer is. Yeah, I think, did it say Johann? No, it's not Johann. It's Joseph something. I can't see it, but it sounds good. Moonlit Fern says JR felonies can vote in certain states. Yep, and also felonies are still allowed to run for office, as Eugene Debs did about 100 years ago. He actually ran while he was still in prison. He lost, but he was still allowed to run for president while he was in prison. Eugene Debs. What I should say, though, is if felons can run for office, then felons should be able to vote for people to run for office. That would be, I think that's fair. That would be an equivalent exchange, if you get the anime reference. Miss Neal says Moonlight. Moonlit. I always wondered when, at one point, robots would fight robots, like war of technology. I mean, depending on what you mean by robots, we already sort of have that. Like a lot of this stuff that goes into cyber command and a lot of our interplanetary satellite technology, this stuff is basically robot on robot war, but it's not like head on. It's not head on war like you think of like Terminator or something like that. But some of the more sophisticated machinery and stuff we're dealing with, they are robots. They just not um, android type robots, like actually fighting it out on the field. But there's robot technology or machine intelligence going into a lot of the tech we're using right now to fight crime from. I mean, to fight wars from our satellites and all these other um, things that we have, which is way above my pay grade, by the way. This news says you could draft then the people who would build the best tech, and the robots build robots because the AI outruns humans. LOL dystopia. Well, the thing is, if you try to force the best minds in the country to work for military research and development, you'll basically push these people into going to other countries, and it would cause a brain drain here in the country, in America. As well as robots building better robots. Yeah, I guess you're assuming like there'll be like some sort of learning tech, potentially like in like a lot of sci-fi movies they show nanotechnology, which is able to adapt and like rebuild on its own. We're far away from that, and we're far from the type of strong AI that everyone is scared of. We still don't have the capability to create that yet. And that's for cognitive science reasons. Only for instance, check out MIT and stuff they're doing in Boston Needles. It's legit Skynet. Oh yeah, like I said, some of this, look, people want to make fun of the Space Force. Space Force and stuff they do over at Cyber Command and some of these other places, they are on that Skynet level right now. This news says you heard about the incident in Japan where robots were well forever napped a bunch of scientists. Haven't heard of that. It's a few years back. One LA to Reese says politics is like wrestling for adults. Poor people talk about people, middle class people talk about things, rich people talk about ideas. Yeah, except that's not really always the case. I've been around every socioeconomic status level. From what I see, people talk about the same things. They just talk about it on different levels. Like when I'm talking to like my friend who I work for right now, who's like a branch manager at this very prestigious lending bank, he's definitely aloof to the things that go on with common folks. But he talks about stuff that we talk about. He's just not very pragmatic. I'll say that. He's not a very pragmatic person. And he thinks stuff like the martingale betting system is a good way to gamble. And out of politeness, I didn't say anything, but I was telling him the martingale betting system is just another version of the gambler's fallacy. But he doesn't see that, because when you can just plunk down when you can just lose $14,000 at the casino and it doesn't phase you, then yeah, you might think the martingale system works. Like, oh, I lost 40,000 and I'm up 30,000. Well, you're not actually up 30,000 because you gotta subtract that from the 14,000 you initially lost. But um, I guess he still made a profit of 16,000. However, the martingale system is very inaccurate because the martingale system of betting is, and I think it's different forms of the martingale system, but generally the martingale betting system basically says every time you lose to double your wager. For common sense reasons, that should tell you that's not a great idea, I would think. But a lot of people don't recognize the gambler's fallacy, and the martingale betting system is just another version of the gambler's fallacy, because it assumes that you can change the outcome of your future bets by the way you by the way you wager on those future bets. That's the gambler's fallacy. So it's not that poor people, middle class people, rich people talk about different things. They have different levels of education. They have different social economic backgrounds in which they are entrenched. And I think both poor and both the super wealthy and the poor are both kind of encapsulated from stuff that happens to most other people who fall somewhere in the middle of lower middle class, um, working middle class and upper middle class, or upper middle class to like moderately wealthy. Like, this is the bulk right here, and both of these guys on extreme ends of that distribution. Well, actually, I shouldn't say distribution, because here's the thing: wealth doesn't fall under a normal distribution curve, or the Gaussian curve. Like, wealth doesn't fall under that normal distribution. But in any case, both the poor and the super wealthy are the outliers, okay? And the way wealthy people talk about things isn't necessarily better than middle class or the poor. If anything, they're just aloof because they never had the same struggle. And this happens to be the case with my friend. Like, he's completely out of touch with the reality of most of average people. So that's not necessarily a good thing, especially when these are the sort of people who are making decisions for everyone else, who are out of touch with reality for the bulk of other people, how they live. Albert Rodriguez says no more war. I didn't know that. Diana Kentron says all proven untrue, but she's not saying to what. And again, because I'm 5 minutes behind in comments, I don't know where some comments lie when it doesn't reference exactly what it's pointing to. Definitely not getting to anything religious. Yeah, you guys are going to have to fight it out about that religious stuff. I'm not doing that tonight. I've already done that several times. As far as you guys talking about truth, like, that's a far aside from this topic. What I would say is, Uh, the principle of bivalence is kind of presupposed in the notion of truth itself, which is that something is either true, a statement is either true, or a statement is false. That's it. And under the the redundancy definition of truth, we would say, if a sentence is true, if and only if. So say like the sentence P is true if and only if P, which sounds redundant, but it makes sense. It's basically saying, well, hey, snow is white. The sentence snow is white is true if and only if snow is white. It sounds redundant, it sounds like a tautology, but it's basically confirming that the notion of truth presupposes a semantic concept. It's not a metaphysical concept. It's not an epistemic concept. That truth is not relative. It's not a correspondence to facts or ideas, as some people do like to use the correspondence to truth. And if anything, then Alfred Tarski, a famous logician and philosopher, analytic philosopher, gave a whole paper on the semantic theory of truth, under which the redundancy definition of truth, which I hold, is sort of like considered a deflationary theory. Those are all sort of like semantic theories of truth. But being so, it is objective. It's not subjective. A subjective truth is, by virtue of that notion, incoherent. So regardless of whatever we're talking about, whether it's religion and politics, whatever, the sentence is going to be true if and only if that sentence holds to be true, right? So I know it sounds redundant and not very sagely, but that's how truth works as best as we understand it, and it's kind of presupposed by the principle of bivalence, which is like the bedrock law of all logic. Even multi-valued logic, the principle of bivalence still holds, even though some people would deny it. But in multi-valued or so-called second-order logic, the principle of bivalence is still kind of presupposed in it. And the principle of bivalence, again, holds in the very notion of truth itself, which is that every sentence, statement, or proposition is true, or it's false. That's where we can go from there with truth, but I'm not going to get into any specific religious discussion on outside of just saying that most of what you're saying, guys, about truths are incorrect. And like I said, saying something is your truth or his truth or her truth doesn't make sense, because that's not how a truth works. That's basically, when you say that, you're basically just instantiating the term truth. You're co-instantiating the term truth for the term belief. But just because you call it truth doesn't make it so. You're just basically using belief in a different form. So. this took up way too much of the chat room. Emily, for instance, never tried Tokyo tea. Oh yeah, the last time I was drinking, I did Tokyo tea at this Baltimore club, and I didn't realize how strong it was. Yeah, I thought it was just like a Long Island tea, but at least with a Long Island tea, which is like what 4 or 5 different liquors, it's still chased with a little bit of Coca-Cola. Tokyo tea removes the the Coca-Cola and put the Pucker's alcohol in it, so it's just full on alcohol, but when it's mixed correctly, it tastes sweet. So you can't even tell how strong it is until after you've downed the whole thing, and it was a bad experience. So that was like the last time I like drank. Well, it's not the last time I drank, but it was like the last time I got drunk. And then shortly thereafter, I just didn't drink at all, and never have since. I'm only friends with it, but if you know, you know. Yeah. I'm only friends with this big red flag when Biden says Putin instead of Zelensky. Yeah. Then he tried to play it off. He was like, "Oh well, I'm just so concerned about beating Putin that I mistakenly said his name." I'm like, "Nah, man, you just had a complete memory failure." Only first is libertarian candidates should pull up, not left, nor right. Well, the libertarian is somewhat on the right, at least in American politics. But I don't think any libertarian president really has that much of a chance. I mean, we've seen Ron Paul run, and then his son Rand Paul. Neither one of them have a shot in hell. And I don't know who's the libertarian candidate this year. Hermione is back again. Man, no tendency is always the broke black guys giving advice. No one asked them for it. Yet you're on this string. Paul Salsa says LGBTQ, let's get back Trump quickly. That's clever. Nothing says was playing in the background classical music by Albinitz. Only friend says let me chill before I snap on the kids. Yeah, they're kind of stupid, aren't they? Like, they can't even troll well because they're too stupid. Like, they actually think what they say is clever, and they sound like a bunch of morons. Like, they just straight up sound retarded. And they think their trolling is so clever. It's like their whole YouTube handle, you can already tell they're a troll before they even say anything. And then, when they talk, they think they made some sort of ha-ha moment. I'm like, no. Because it's like none of these trolls will pull up to me personally and try to insult me because they know they get punched in the face. Nothing says too late for all that. It's gonna be Trump. He said, "Bro, his buff is fucked down." Like, yeah, I usually don't wear my little wife. Well, no, sometimes I wear a wife beater, but usually I'm not this close up on the camera, so people can't tell. But I don't. I guess people thought I was lying when I say I work out every day. I do, but I guess people didn't believe. People didn't believe me. We don't believe you. You're lying. Don't nobody run that much every day. Don't nobody do that. I'm joking, but no. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't lying to you guys when I say I work out every day. It's just I don't show off my physique. Actually, there's one video where I was like kind of showing off the abs and stuff like that, but that wasn't me trying to like thirst trap or anything. I was just doing a YouTube short. I just came straight out of the shower and was like um, showing off for some reason. Or no, the other one I had just did like some push-ups and I was shirtless, but I still had on the my weight mitts. um, but yeah, I mean, usually I don't show off on the camera like that. I saved this for Mrs. Contrarian. Monday's all right. I mean, it's late, so I'm about to go to bed. Actually, I'm just trying to get through all the comments before I do. One of the first is, but wouldn't you like to at least see a libertarian president? Uh, I don't know because libertarians, at least the American libertarians, they've been kind of inconsistent. Like Rand Paul is good. Like both Ron and Rand Paul have been good on some things, but they're horrible on others. And it's not because they're libertarian, but it's because their libertarianism is sometimes inconsistent. Like they'll sometimes trade being a libertarian for being a conservative. And I'm like, no, you need to stay in your lane. If you're gonna be one, but don't try to do both. So I don't know if I would want to see a libertarian in office. For the most part, like Steven Pinker has pointed out, you've never really seen a libertarian government because that ideology I just don't think is very practical. That's ultimately I don't think the libertarian ideology is very practical for running a government, which is why I don't think in almost any Western country you've seen a libertarian like president or prime minister or anything like that. On the local level, sure. On the local level, sure it works, but I don't think you could run a country on libertarian virtues. Dr. Ketchup says, but Gecko says you do hard labor. How often you work out? Every day. Do at least a 10-kilometer run. I did 11 today, but usually I do twice. I try to do 2 runs. Then I do my shadow kickboxing, calisthenics, and stretch out at the end. That's basically it. And then just watch what you eat. Like people saw me eat on camera, so they can tell I don't have any specific diet. I eat whatever I want. I just don't eat that much of it. So I ate a big hankering of rice today, but usually I don't eat that much. I'll eat that much, but that'll be because I only ate like once or twice that day, which is not the best. But I'd rather eat a big meal and then stretch it out with snacks throughout the day than eat huge 3 meals a day. Like that's not really necessary. But yeah, that's my routine, guys. Like I run at least 10 kilometers a day. Then I do some shadow kickboxing. I do some calisthenics and stretch, and then like 2 or 3 times a week I go to the gym. Used to go to the gym like 4 or 5 days a week, but now it's just 2 or 3, which is enough because there used to be like leg day, then upper body. But this week so far we've done 2 leg days and 1 upper body, so I'm thinking we're gonna go to the gym again tomorrow and follow that up. Have like 2 leg days, and so for this week we'll have like 2 leg days and 2 upper body days. But Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then also, when I go to the gym, uh, I do strength training, which means I keep it at least 8 reps or less. If you are doing more than 8 reps with weights, then you're no longer doing strength. You're just doing muscular endurance. So if I'm just going to do muscular endurance, I can just do that at home, just doing push-ups and pull-ups and sit-ups, right? But and my flutter kicks. But uh, but if but if I'm at the gym and I'm using equipment and the free weights, then I want to do it so that I can max out at 8 reps per set. Like if I can comfortably do way more than that, then I'm lifting too light because I don't want to do more than 8 reps. Because beyond 8 reps, you're not. That's no longer strength. That's muscular endurance, which is still important. Which is why I do calisthenics throughout the week. But muscular endurance and strength aren't the same thing. Strength, incurs negative resistance and all that sort of stuff. Whereas muscular endurance is how much you can push through with something without needing to catch your breath or whatever. So my sense is where the noodles. That was 2 days ago, man. I told you I was going to have a different meal every day. So the first day was the noodles. The second day was the tuna sandwiches with the salad, and today was the rice with the Italian sausage. But all 3 days I did have noodles because the second day I made a second portion, and the third day my grandmother gave me all the leftovers. And I was like, oh, okay, well, she gave me the rest of this, so I just made some more spaghetti noodles and added it with some ramen and hot sauce. So I made my little uh, hood version of pho noodle soup. Did it 3 times in a row, but I only ate it that one time on camera. Every time else, I ate something different than that. Mason says, acknowledge your tribal chief. Paul Celsius said, looking cut my dude. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Like honestly, I don't even do it for the looks, but I just do it because for like combat to be combat ready. That's all. But I'm about to go, guys, because it's getting late. Um, but and we kind of we kind of sidetracked a little bit. I was trying to hold a topic basically on the fact that the American politics is led by gerontocracy, which is a ruling of the people by the elderly, and I think it's because our elderly elite in this country feel entitled that they think that they've earned the right to basically rule the government because of the time they've put in, and I just fundamentally disagree with that. One, because most of them at their elderly age are completely out of the loop with what most of what we have to deal with, and also I think being so elderly, um, they are making decisions that they won't have to live with themselves because they'll be dead. So I think we need younger people and fresher blood in Congress and in the presidency. I would like to see like a 35-year-old president. No younger than 35, but definitely 35. 35, at least for a man, is pretty much when they become an adult. Like, you hear this in the red pill spaces all the time, but it's kind of true. And I think even the founding fathers realized that back 250 plus years ago. Like, they realized that most like most adult men aren't really men until like at least the age of 35, which is why that age was literally written into our constitution, because it's true. Like, you you still think like an adult until about the age of 35, and I'll say at best 30, but really 35, but around that age, until you reach those ages of either 30 to 35, but really 35, most adult men are still cognitively like adolescents. So, but I would like to see a younger president. Like the youngest ones we had were like Kennedy and Obama. Uh, but we don't need any more 80-year-old candidates running for president, and we don't need elderly people in Congress who have a more direct connection to the American public. Like when someone is suffering dementia and basically so and bed stricken, they don't need to be in office anymore. And yes, I'm talking about people like Dianne Feinstein and Nancy Pelosi and what's the little turtle looking dude on the Republican side? Um, the little Myrtle turtle looking dude. Um, he needs to be gone. But all of those people need to be gone. They're too freaking old. And this is not ageism, by the way. This is the fact that these people are not cognitively fit anymore to be making decisions that decide our lives. So I'm about to end this. I'm gonna answer this one last question though, and I'm gonna go from there. And hey, Imani, I think you're saying hi. If you're in the stream, I'll see it. Cold Crush Corey says, I need advice, guys. I'm 6'5" and weigh 77 pounds. How can I lose more weight? Did you say 77? Or am I seeing 771? Hold up. Yeah. Alright, so you're just being a troll because there's no way you 6'5" and 77 pounds and not severely malnutritioned. No one would tell you to lose weight at 77 pounds and 6'5". That's ridiculous, and I really don't believe you. If you are 77 pounds at 6'5", you need to go to a hospital immediately. But I know that you're probably trolling, so whatever. Any case, guys, I will talk to you all tomorrow. Hopefully Mrs. Contrarian has her travel video up, so guys, go check out her travel video for me tomorrow. You will actually get to see her face full on in the camera, her cute, beautiful face. So that's it. Oh, and once this is uploaded, if you have any other questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section. If you guys have any questions about fitness and nutrition, you can leave those comments there too, or you can reach me on my socials. My socials are also in the description of my channel. It's my Facebook and Instagram pages, which are connected to this YouTube channel, as well as my email. That is my business email that I use for like a lot of stuff. I know you said check out what the Don Trip check thing is. I got it. I'll do that on my way upstairs to bed. Not answering any questions about religion right now, Negron. If you want me to do so, drop a Cash App, my friend. That's the only way I answer irrelevant questions. So guys, please like and subscribe if you would. Hit the share button. Share with your buddies. Help me grow in the algorithm. The YouTube algorithm controls all. I feel like this. I kind of like this. By the way, not to change subjects, I just like the fact how this plaque is like right directly over me. It feels like my grandfather's actually like looking, like literally like looking beyond at me, which is funny because my grandmother keeps pointing out stuff, little tidbits about him like every day that I didn't know. Like she told me like when after he came back from the war, he was a firefighter, and he used to correct people all the time saying, I'm not a fireman, I'm a firefighter. He said firemen stoke fires, firefighters prevent fires and fight them. So any case, I feel like he's looking over top of me from here. He was being an infantry war hero in the Korean War. So Anyway, like I said, you can reach me on my socials, email, um, Facebook and Instagram. They're all in my YouTube. They're all in the description on my channel, and there's links if you want to donate to me to buy me some coffee. If you want to send me a Cash App or a Venmo, I definitely appreciate it because I do all this for free, guys. I'm not monetized yet. I'm short, still like 100 plus public watchable hours to be fully monetized. But yeah, please show your support. If nothing else, at least like and subscribe. That's completely free, but it helps me out a whole lot. Like it helps me out even more than if you sent me money. Just liking and subscribing. And like I said, when I dropped the video of Mrs. Contrarian doing her outreach, she did a trip in the Philippines recently to this outreach in this rural province of the Philippines. I hope you guys enjoy it. They are speaking in Tagalog, but just enjoy the just enjoy the scenery, and you get to see Mrs. Contrarian's, you know. So look out for that tomorrow. And aside from that, guys, have a great day or a great evening. Hope you enjoyed the 3 days of me showing you what I actually eat on a day to day. Like I said, the first night was chicken stew mixed with spaghetti noodles type thing to make it sort of like a pho soup. The second day was some tuna with garden salad, and the third day today was some garlic fried rice and Italian sausage. So that'll be the end of my mukbang videos, if that's what they were called. um, and I'll have a new topic for tomorrow. It's probably going to be an anything goes topic tomorrow, but we'll see. Yeah, my workouts for sports, Amani, depends on what sort of sports, but generally you want to stay fit for whatever sport you're in, unless you're doing like poker or something or video games. But even still, you should stay fit just generally. But yeah, I'm going to do a workout video here because in my grandmother's house, I actually have more room to do a Muay Thai workout video that I've been planning on doing for a year. Now I actually have space for it, so I'm going to do that for you guys. And you can actually see me do some stuff for once. So I will be doing that probably next week. Probably next week. Not this weekend, but probably next week. All right. Basketball and football. Yeah, you definitely should be getting fit for basketball and football. Jojo says, I gotta say, I love the channel. My brother also suffers from Down syndrome. You obviously don't know what Down syndrome is, and it's not a bit funny making fun of those folks. Here's the thing. People who suffer from Down syndrome, one of the side effects of having Down syndrome is they have the most childlike predisposition. It kind of makes them a delight to work with, to be honest, because when I was a psychology undergrad, there was a program that allowed undergrads to actually work with special needs children, and I didn't do it because it wouldn't fit my schedule. But I've seen people work with special needs adults, and even though these were grown people, they had these childlike dispositions, and they're amazing people. Like, don't make fun of people with Down syndrome. If anything, you're the fucking idiot, JoJo. You're the fucking idiot. At least they have a clinically diagnosed retardation. What is your excuse? You're just below average intelligence, which is worse. Because you're at a level where you're stupid, but you don't know that you are. And you're obviously fucking stupid. You stupid fucking prick. Anyway, I'm gonna go. So, that's it, guys. Have fun, one and all. Alright? No, I can use the word because in clinical psychology and developmental psychology, mental retardation is still an actual term. But you're just fucking stupid. You're not retarded. You're stupid. Those people who are actually clinically diagnosed with mental retardation are nice people. You aren't. You're just a fucking asshole. And I hope someone ends you. And I will check out Don Trip, Amani. Do me a promise though, and you be back for my next live stream. All right? Take it easy.